Hey there, everybody. It's Jenny Clark with Solvability. Here's another session of GovCon Summit today. I'm so excited to have my friends Emily Harman and Kristy Pitman today to talk about getting balance in your life. And what we talk about in getting balance in your life is creating prosperity in all levels of your life. So for me, I call it health, wealth, and harmony. But if one of those is out of balance, I'm not really as happy as I think I should be, and it starts to slow me down. And what we're all looking for is, how do we get flow in our life? How do we make things happen the way we want to? And it's all about allowing yourself to dream and envision what you truly want. And if it wasn't for Kristy, I would not have had a number of life changes that I experienced in a 90-day period of time. So Kristy, take it away. You have helped me to find my soulmate.
I'm so excited for you, Jenny, and thank you so much for that introduction. And it's all about finding prosperity in every area of your life. And Emily is going to start sharing a little bit about a roadmap a little bit later in this talk. I'd like to go ahead and pass it over to Emily right now.
Okay, thanks, Kristy. So we're going to start off with Kristy and myself. We're just going to share a little story about ourselves. We don't have a lot of time in this session, so we can only kind of highlight some things. And if you have more questions, you can reach out to me and to Kristy. But we all want prosperity in our lives. And, you know, I probably, you know, I've noticed that since I retired, or I say graduated from working from the Navy in 2019, that I had some kind of issues when it came to money. I had some limiting beliefs. I had some paradigms about money and about prosperity and about abundance. And so I've been doing a lot of work on myself with respect to that. And I think that more than likely, a lot of people that served in the military might have those same things. And yes, when we talk about prosperity, we're meaning in all areas of our life. And this book, The Science of Getting Rich, is an awesome book. And it's not just rich. It was written in 1910, but it's not just rich in terms of money. It's rich in terms of every area of our life. So, you know, you've left the military, now you're in the government contracting space, and we're going to just talk about how to create more abundance in your life. So a little bit about me. I made that decision to join the military when I was 17. And I went to the Naval Academy and I worked for the Navy as an officer and then as a civilian until I turned 56. And I don't have any regrets. But I noticed that a lot of the training that I got in the military was based on, you know, the different jobs that I had. It was in those jobs. It was in government contracting. It was in how to be a small business professional. It was in how to use, I don't know, the newest financial system, maybe some on leadership. And, you know, I just had to put my head down and focus through my military career and working for the Navy on raising my children, mostly as a single parent, just getting my job done. And I feel like my dreams became buried under like a mound of responsibilities. And somehow I lost myself. Who am I? What do I want along the way? Because I don't think we really even know that at age 17. Mm-hmm. So in 2019 is when I retired as the director of the Office of Small Business Programs for the Navy and the Marine Corps. Within 1 month after I retired, my children's father, we were divorced, but my children's father was diagnosed with cancer and became paralyzed in both of his arms, really 2 weeks after his diagnosis. And he passed away 5 months later. And I helped take care of him and my children through that. And I watched him pass away with regrets. And now, after the passing of some time, my children and I, we can see that Bruce left us a gift. He left us the gift of knowing how precious life really is. And since I've retired, I've invested a lot of time and money in myself, learning about myself and taking care of my needs, because I put everyone and everything else first for so long. And as an entrepreneur myself now, I've observed that there's a lot of coaches out there that will coach us on how to win contracts in the government space, and all of that stuff. And that's needed. But I think that as leaders in the government contracting space, we also need to focus on ourselves, because the better we know ourselves, the better leaders we will be. And leading business in the government contracting space has its own unique challenges, especially in this time of COVID. And I think we all realize the importance of focusing on the whole person. And by doing this, we can create prosperity in all areas of our lives, in the areas of our relationships, health, well-being, in time and money freedom, and in the important work we do in the GovCon space. So live a life that you love now. Bruce was waiting for retirement. He was waiting for circumstances to change. Don't wait. What would you love now? Create it. Kristy.
What I love? Wow. So I bet a bunch of you are probably thinking, how is it that I deserve a life that I love, right? How about I start with a life that I like? But how to live a life you love? That's a really great question. Most of the time we think, oh, well, I'm a little bit isn't that too selfish? And how can I ask myself that? And how can I be so deserving? What I deserve, a life that I love? Well, I learned you absolutely deserve to live a life that you love. And today I do live that. I can truly from the bottom of my heart say, I love my life. I relish every day with my soulmate who I live with, who we got married just last year. I totally enjoy living in my ocean home in Flagler Beach, Florida. And my work that I love everything I do in my workday, inspiring and motivating people on how to be the best version of themselves and also how to get government contracts. So I learned earlier in my journey that you can't give what you don't have. Actually, Dr. Wayne Dyer says that. You can't give what you don't have. So when I had set out on my mission, I determined my mission was to inspire, motivate, and teach people how to have a business and life that they loved. And that was 10 years ago. And guess what? I didn't have a business I loved. I didn't have a life that I loved. So how can I do it, right? So I took a lot of courses and learned a lot about the laws, the universal laws, including the law of attraction. And I got really clear on my intention. And I know that it's so much about getting clarity on your intention and living life with an intention. And also I learned, it's just not selfish because I might be working on myself and I'm being better for myself, a higher version of myself. And therefore I'm better for others. And then others are better. So Jenny, like you said, I was able to inspire you to meet your soulmate and so excited that happened. And now you'll be just as anxious to share your story with others who can also find their soulmate. But anyway, I also decided about being a person of increase. And so when you do take care of yourself and do that personal work, you can become more of a person of increase where you are increasing people every day. How can I help this person overcome this obstacle? How can I help this person get this contract? How can I help them have more peace in their life? So now I don't just ask myself, all right, what do we want to do for a vacation? Or what do we want to do on Saturday or Sunday? The question now is, what would I love? So I ask myself that. It's not just what would I like to do? It's what would I love? So it's all about awareness and it's about mindset. It's understanding situations and circumstances and relationships and how you can manage all of that after you are aware of that. So what's really cool is Emily did create a roadmap. All right, how do we get to this life that we love? And Emily's going to be sharing that with us in a little bit. There's also so many of us live life by default. Actually, most all of us live a life by default. And what I learned is it's not just about default, it's about design. So it's about living a life of design instead of by default. I really love this artwork that I have in my house. Life is not about finding yourself, it is about creating yourself. So let's work on creating the best version of ourselves. And Emily, you can take it from there.
If you're like me, I was a few years ago or even a year ago, you might, when you say, well, what would I love? And the answer comes up, your mind might say, well, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Catch that. Notice that. Why is that not going to happen? What is your paradigm? And going through this roadmap helps you learn a little bit more about that yourself. So you've heard my story, you've heard Kristy's story. we don't have time to go into everyone's story on this call, but you probably see a lot of parallels. And in April of 2020, I founded the Onward Movement. And due to COVID, it's an online community, but eventually I'm going to be leading retreats. And, I really have a dream to make it more than just an online community, but it seeks to inspire you and at least 10,000 other people to embrace authenticity, to release the fear of judgment. When people, that's judgment when you say, well, you couldn't do that. Or when I retired, everyone's telling me you shouldn't do that. That's judging. I'm going to do what I love. And so release that fear of what other people think, that fear of judgment, so that you can create the life of your dreams with confidence. And it's a Facebook group right now. So I developed this roadmap, which I'm going to share the screen, which I did put in the handouts. So hopefully you can see that. But this is like a roadmap of going from blue to golden. Your journey starts where, and each step of the way is kind of described here, but it's a coaching program that I lead. And, you open your mind and prepare to be authentic and vulnerable as you embark on your unique transformational journey. And then you do some noticing, and then you do some more introspection. Then you practice acceptance and reflection and dreaming and energizing and release and fun. It's kind of looking at your past, but then also what would I love? And then understanding some of those paradigms and those limiting beliefs and those patterns that, we developed probably a lot when, in our childhood. And then when we were in the military. Notice that all of these steps spell out Onwarder, which is so cool. And at the end, you get your Onwarder award. And Kenneth, a friend that somebody that Jenny connected me with, is creating this coin. And on the front, it's one of those challenge coins. On the front, it says Onward Movement, and on the back, it has all these steps spelled out. And it's the Onwarder award that you get for finishing this, just recognizing the effort that you put into understanding yourself. And Kristy, I think, has a few comments on some of the steps. I mean, we don't have a lot of time to go into all of the steps, but go ahead, Kristy.
Okay, well, here's so I love the open, right? Because when you open up your mind to being more aware and more present, it's kind of like we were wearing really dark colored sunglasses, maybe the color blue, and then finally when you take them off, you can see crystal clear. You can see much more clearly. So that's what I love about your being open. And then the widen the areas of your life. So in Emily's program, she's going to talk to you about looking at the different things in your life, your relationships, your health, your vocation, your time, and your financial freedom. And you'll assess, here's where I am today. And then what would a 10 look like? If today it looks like a 2 or 3, which is, on the lower end, what would a 10 really look like? Which is a really good way to widen your mind a little bit more.
And if you can come up with what a 10 can look like in your head, you can create it.
Yes, that's right.
In your life.
And then I'll just skip down to your dream, because that's what I get so passionate about. You've dreamed in all areas of your life and created your written vision for a life you love living. So I encourage people to just really think about, what is it that I love to do? One of my first audiences that I spoke to, I said, how much time do you spend doing what you love doing? And it was deer in the headlights. Like, I don't even know what I love doing. So, take that time to think, what did you do with your free time as a kid? Did you always want to play an instrument? Did you want to be a rock star? Did you want to be own a big yacht and sail the world? Whatever that was that you had dreamed of, what do you spend a lot of time daydreaming about? What do you want to be, do, or have? And that's where it starts. And I just really encourage you to be like Gumby, get really flexible and just stretch and just envision, what would I absolutely love? And then you can visualize that for yourself. And that's really where it starts. And one of these things, Emily, is your daily practice, right?
With the dreaming, I mean, I lost that ability to dream. I still struggle with coming up with dreaming big. I'm still working on that because of just my upbringing, and in the military, you just do what people tell you. You don't really, not that that's all what you do, but you just don't spend a lot of time dreaming and envisioning what would you like. And it's like, wow, now, I mean, I remember the first few weeks that I was home, it was like, after I graduated or retired, oh, I could go on a hike today, because I was just so used to sitting at a desk working, right? So it's taken a while for me to start to dream, and it's fun and it's exciting. And for me to realize that, you know, when my mind says, well, how would you do that? If I can dream it, I can do it.
That's right. And we're constantly creating, right, Emily? I mean, you're
creating your life, no matter if you're, you know, doing whatever you've done, wherever you are right now, you've created it.
Right. Right. And we're creating good or we're creating bad, but we're constantly creating. So it's just a matter of understanding what our thoughts are and managing those thoughts a little bit better. And then finally, about the energize, I just wanted to add on the energize part. Once you figure all that out, you know, at least you're able to open up your mind and dream, you get energetic about it. And what you do need, and here says you're energized and confident about creating a life of your dreams. You're taking steps every day toward creating a life that you love. And that's really one of the most important things. One of my coaches says, hey, Kristy, what's your daily mindful practice? And you know, I was already talking to people about these things. He said, what's your daily mindful practice? And I was like, you know what? I was pissed because I didn't have it. And when I was so clear about my daily mindful practice and I did things every single day toward what I would love, that's really the key. And it could be a combination of breathing techniques. It could be meditation. It could be reading certain books, but especially like you said, Emily, catching yourself. So catching yourself when you're saying, I really can't, and I'm not able, I'm not smart enough, not young enough, or whatever those excuses are, catch yourself, because that's what you're creating. You can't because you're too, you know, so whatever you're saying to yourself, that's what you're creating.
And that's what I do have. If you go to my website, emilyharman.com, something happened with it. So there's not a section right there now on this Onward Accelerator coaching program on this roadmap, but that'll be up later this week. But there is a section on mental fitness coaching. And that's a program that I've just started based on a New York Times bestseller by Shirzad Chamine, which really helps you understand what's holding you back in terms of your mind. And I have a session on that coming up later this week. So I'll go into more detail about it, but feel free to check out my website and take those assessments on what are your saboteurs. And that helps you become more aware of what's going on in your mind. And we can choose our thoughts. More so that we're not like just a victim of circumstance. We can choose our thoughts. So does anyone have any questions? I know we have like 3 minutes as we're wrapping up, but does anybody have?
One thing that I, wanted to mention is that positive intelligence program that I just signed up for you with is all about people identifying their saboteurs. And while we were all in Florida, there's 6 of us going around the room, and we've all filled out that form that you brought it. There's an online survey just to see what it is. And we all said, oh, I'm so bad at. But the awareness of what our triggers are is right. Almost like, okay, well, sounds like being an avoider for Jenny is another thing she should be aware of. So when I do it, I can just kind of forgive myself and say, well, I know what you're doing, and you don't have to do it that way anymore.
Yeah. Notice what you're noticing. Becoming aware really is the first step to changing what you're creating in your life and creating that life that you love. And it's a journey. We're always growing. So anyone have a question or?
I think they could raise their hand. How do you raise your hand in here? I think you go down to the bottom under reactions. You can raise your hand or something like that. Or you could just clap and celebrate.
Thank you for joining our session today.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Kristy and Emily.
GovCon, but
yeah, thanks so much. And just make sure your contact is in the chat here. And obviously, there's anybody that wants to talk to anybody at GovCon. All they have to do is know me, and I will connect you. So that's what Oprah does, is makes it all happen.